From the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks, this is Studio One.
Hi everyone and welcome to Studio One. I'm Averi Haugesag.
And I'm Biernat.
Today on the show, when a new business is getting started, it's important to evaluate how well everything will work. One professional evaluator travels around the world to help businesses and governments.
Also, while many of us have known a printer to be able to spit out writing on a piece of paper, newer printers are able to create things like figurines, toys, and even food. But first, the Costa Concordia cruise ship made headlines in 2012 after it ran aground off the coast of Italy. Now, nearly 3 years later, the remains of the final victim have been found. He has been identified as Russell Rebello and was found in his cabin. The incident claimed 32 lives and caused injuries for many of the 4,200 passengers. The wrecked ship is currently in Genoa, where it is being scrapped for metal. Many Americans went to the polls Tuesday, but for one Minnesota woman, the trip to the voting booth was special. Cheng Yi Pan of Winona cast her vote for the first time at the age of 97. She immigrated to the United States from China in 2009, and last month she gained her citizenship. In China, people do not have the right to vote, but for Cheng, the dream became a reality. She had tears of joy as she left the booth. The moment was made even more emotional when she realized that by voting, she was now officially an American. Discrimination between men and women in any hiring process isn't as big of an issue today as it was 50 years ago, but that doesn't mean it doesn't come into play when salaries are being discussed. The World Economic Forum says the United States ranks 65th in the world on gender pay gap. Women working similar jobs as men in America earn about 66% as much as their male counterparts. That's an increase of 1% from last year. Although it's a big difference, the gap is slowly narrowing.
I do see that we've made strides in closing that gap as a nation. However, do I think we still need probably more work? Yes, I do.
Experts say that it'll take another 81 years for the pay gap to close at the current rate.
Bundles of joy are causing bundles of problems in North Dakota. The state's oil boom has attracted hundreds of people and their families. Last year, more than 10,000 babies were born in North Dakota, and that's leading to a shortage of resources. The demand for housing is at an all-time high, causing the cost of rent to skyrocket. Schools are overflowing and forced to turn closets, hallways, and libraries into classrooms. Childcare is also becoming scarce. These problems may be overwhelming now, but experts say the oil boom will eventually lead to further economic growth.
New creations are key to advancing the better good. One new technology is reshaping how professionals around the globe think. Computer science technology is evolving. By stepping into Jeremy Straub's world, it is becoming more evident.
The neatest thing about the 3D printer is really seeing when people look at it and they see how they're turning something that's digital into reality.
3D printing is a relatively new concept.
The 3D printer basically turns that from a digital creation into reality. So it takes that model, it breaks it into some instructions for the printhead basically to move and to disperse filament.
The University of North Dakota's computer science program gained access to its first 3D printer over 2 years ago.
We've used it for printing out a ton of scans from the 3D scanner so that people can kind of visualize what they've scanned, see how all the cameras turn into a digital model, turn into a physical creation.
Experts say this technology has incredible room for growth. The benefits it could potentially bring are changing the game.
You know, it's everything kind of, I guess, from the quickness of actually being able to produce the object, whether that's something like the model where you're then able to turn around and see if it's what you want, make a decision whether you need to make changes and then, make those and maybe reprint it again.
On the flip side, humans' entrepreneurial spirit has raised speculation. A man in Japan was recently arrested and sentenced to 2 years in jail for creating a gun with a 3D printer. Analysts say major regulation has to be put in place before the technology is universally available. Down the road, 3D printing is expected to be used for manufacturing, advanced replications, and creative imaging. Jeremy also said that he and his colleagues are in the early stages of working with the athletic department on structural movements. This could potentially make it easier to understand sports-related injuries and muscle movements. And that's the news for now. Averi actually had a chance to head over to the UND Science Department, and they made a figurine.
Oh, cool. Was it the 3D printer?
Yeah, I got to actually use the 3D printer and watch how everything was being made and an example of it. So
How long did it take?
it took about 30 to 45 minutes for the whole process to take. I watched him. I actually stepped into the scanner, used the scanner, and then he made the model of it, and then used it to put the printer.
It actually looks exactly like you too. It had
Yeah.
a tie even.
It's
got the
really
texture of your
realistic,
hair.
which really surprised me. I didn't think that it was going to be, but
What's interesting about 3D printers too is that now you can make food in 3D printers. You know, you can make hamburgers, hot dogs. I know there's been kind of a debate a little bit about maybe soldiers could end up using these in the future.
And that's kind of the part about regulation. It's where people can actually regulate using this technology and moving forward with it.
Great. Well, now you have a sports story coming on for us here.
Yeah, I'll take it over the sports story.
All right.
The University of North Dakota enrolls students from 84 different countries. We found one sport that brings the numerous nationalities together.
Mats Gjesdal is an international student from Norway. He holds 2 titles, President of Norwegian Students Abroad for the state of North Dakota, and also captain for his intramural soccer team, World 11.
Like, soccer is a big part of my life, so I was really glad when I realized that a lot of people do play soccer. Even though it's freezing in the winter, we can play inside here at the Wellness Center.
World 11 is made up of students from France, Germany, Indonesia, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Ghana, and Norway.
The core of the group, we all met during orientation when we got here. I got here about a year ago, and it was like this week we're all the international students got together at the International Center.
This intramural league is very competitive. That gives these boys a taste of home, where football or soccer is their nation's most popular sport.
Well, playing from people from different countries, you just really get different cultures, different, the way they play, different work ethic.
Mats couldn't play in this game because of a meeting for the Norwegian Students Abroad program, but he stayed till kickoff to support his teammates and friends who have made his transition to America that much easier.
Soccer as a sport brings people together. It's just you can talk with your feet instead of it's a cliche, but you can talk with your feet instead of your mouth.
World 11 talked with their feet very well, winning the game 9-3. But more importantly, they felt at home. With photographer Megan Hoffman, I'm Morgan Goulding, reporting for Studio One.
The players aren't the only ones representing different countries. The league's main referee is from Yugoslavia. And that's the sports story for today's show. Avery?
All right, thanks, Will. Whether or not it's a nonprofit agency, a hospital, or a governing body, it's crucial for every business to conduct an evaluation. One well-traveled man will tell us the right time to do an evaluation before it's too late. That's next.
Closed captioning for Studio One is underwritten in part by NDAD, helping others to help themselves.
To have the future you want and a career you'll be proud of, you'll need a great education. The University of North Dakota can get you there with more than 225 degree programs, preparing you for today's fastest growing, high-demand careers, like medicine and health professions, aerospace, business, engineering, and energy. Schedule your campus visit today at und.edu/go, because to succeed, you need to be exceptional.
At the University of North Dakota College of Engineering and Mines, classes have real-life application. Mentors guide students. Our work improves quality of life by answering tough questions with creativity and innovation. The University of North Dakota College of Engineering and Mines, training tomorrow's engineering and geology experts today. At the University of North Dakota College of Engineering and Mines, classes have real-life application. Mentors guide students. Our work improves quality of life by answering tough questions with creativity and innovation. The University of North Dakota College of Engineering and Mines, training tomorrow's engineering and geology experts today.
Closed captioning for Studio One is supported in part by the Listen Center, enriching the lives of people who have intellectual disabilities with choices in community recreation.
If you've been in an ambulance or had seen an AED in the Midwest, it's likely the Leona and Harry B. Hemsley Charitable Trust paid for it. Now, the group has asked one man to conduct a $3.3 million evaluation on emergency medical services as a whole. UND professor at the Center for Rural Health and professional evaluator Ralph Ranger is here to tell us about the evaluation process. Thanks for being on the show with us today, Ralph.
Thanks for having me, Avery.
So starting off, what kind of got you into evaluating?
Oh, how I got into evaluation was a little bit of an accident. I think most of us in the field of evaluation kind of fall into it. Mm-hmm. There is no formal training programs for evaluators. So it usually takes someone along the line to say, hey, are you interested in trying out to be an evaluator? And you kind of just sort of fall into it that way.
So what did you do before you were an evaluator then? I know you said that you had a different path.
I had a very different path, but I think most people do, right? And they don't always have it figured out where they want to go. I actually started as a sports psychologist, and I worked with the National Hockey League for 4 years, and worked with the Scouting Bureau there. And from there, I had a sort of a research background and took a job in family medicine. There were no jobs for my dream job to be a
cool.
sports psychologist.
So what is an evaluation then, if you had to put it in a nutshell?
I don't think I can put it in a nutshell, but I'll try to explain it as best I can. Yeah. So I think when you think about evaluation, the question I mostly get is, well, what is it that you evaluate? And there's different kinds of evaluators out there. And I would have to say that the best way to categorize the kind of evaluation I do is program eval and system eval. And so what that means is if we're doing a program eval, mostly the programs I'm interested in are in the health sector. I work for the Center for Rural Health, so it makes sense that I would be focused on programs that provide health services. And there's 3 different kinds of things that we usually look at when we're evaluating a health program. The first would be some general level of accountability for the funder, some simple things, are they servicing the number of people or providing services for the number of people they said they would. The other thing we would do, so that helps the sponsor make some decisions, and there's some level of accountability there. The other thing we would do for the staff of a program is perhaps help them out. Are they delivering the program the way they want to deliver it? Is there ways that they could streamline that and do a better job? So we can jump in there and give them a sense of the information they need to make those ongoing improvements. And of course, the big question that everybody wants to know is the program working? Is it making a difference in the lives of, in this case, some of the things that you were alluding to earlier?
Business.
Absolutely, yeah.
So what sorts of things have you evaluated? Is it just health things that you've worked on? I know you work for the Center of Rural Health, but...
Yeah, it's been a variety of things that I've worked on. I've had the good pleasure of working in Zambia in the mining sector. So I worked there. There was several injuries that were happening in the mines, and they wanted to know what they could do about that and how they could improve it, and whether the interventions that they were putting in place were working. So they'll bring someone like myself in to help them understand what the correct information is to do that. I've worked in Brazil, in deforestation issues there. So it's an international collaboration. Are they collaborating well was the kind of thing that we were looking at. I've worked in Alaska with seasonal affect disorder, sort of mental health issues, that kind of a thing. What kind of programs can be put in place to help those folks, and are they on the right track with making progress? Is the money well spent? Those would be kind of questions that we would be asking there. Probably one of the more interesting ones actually is working with a cousin of mine in Germany who does a health economics, more or less a cooking class. And the whole idea of the cooking class is to build social skills for the kids from a very impoverished area.
That's cool.
So yeah, so we get to go all over the world and
well-traveled. It's great.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have the job I do.
So kind of who do evaluations help? You kind of went through the process of it and what it is, but who does it help specifically the most?
I'd say there's probably 3 different stakeholders that it helps. First would be the person providing the money. They want to have some sense that the money's well spent.
Being useful, yeah.
Right, exactly. The second would be the service providers, the staff and so forth that are providing those services. They would like to have information as to whether they're doing a good job. And of course the clients themselves and taxpayers want to know whether the money's being well spent. So I would say those are probably the three stakeholders that we work with.
Great. So when is it best to conduct an evaluation then?
Great question. Most of the time what happens is they come to us far too late in the process. Somebody's already invested in a program and they maybe have a month left and they realize they need to say something about whether it worked. So they will come to us and we're supposed to perform some magic. But the best thing would be if we were involved in the planning phases. We can really help a client understand whether the program they're offering is on target and has a chance even to be successful in the first place. Okay. So getting us involved in the planning phase is a really important thing to do.
All right. So what is the average cost of an evaluation then? There's
no average cost. It can vary. I've been on projects that have a $5,000 budget, and I've been on ones, as you described at the top of the show, that are in the millions. It really, usually is the cost of an evaluation is usually the percentage of the budget. And so 10% of a working budget is usually what's set aside for evaluation.
Okay. So do you typically have a team, or are you doing these evaluations on your own?
It'll depend on the size. Right now the North Dakota Department of Health and the Lucas Project is a massive undertaking. It's a huge project.
Right. Huge project.
Huge project, yeah. It starts with a 911 call, so I'll get to your answer about how many people we have. But when you get a sense of the size of the project, then I think you can get an appreciation for how many people are needed. But someone picks up the phone and dials 911. We have to work with the law enforcement dispatchers to see, what can they do to pinpoint you quicker. From there, there's a call out to the EMS services. Usually in North Dakota, it's going to be basic life support. That means they don't have necessarily the training to offer, the full extent of care. They'll probably arrange for some intercept along the road and get a paramedic to come. Then they'll probably end up at one of our smaller hospitals in North Dakota, a critical access hospital. And from there, hopefully if things are still going well, you get a transport to a tertiary care facility. So that whole system, we have to evaluate all components of that, the training that's needed at every level, all the technology that's needed at every level to make that work. Seconds are critical in a system like that. If we can save 10 seconds somewhere, it could be the difference between someone living.
Save a life.
Exactly. So when you have that many working parts, to answer your question, you need a lot of different people. So we've grown our team. Currently we have 5, and we're looking to recruit another 4, and we'll have hopefully 10 full-time evaluators on this project.
It's going to last a while, too. I mean, I assume this process is going to take, because this is what you're working on now, and how long do they project that this is going to take you?
Right. So each state, we're starting in North Dakota. We have 5 years, and we're bringing that now, the same system. I guess they like what we're doing. So they're bringing us on in South Dakota, and then we're going to be now heading into Wyoming, Minnesota, Montana, Nebraska and Iowa. So those are all the different states that we'll be moving into. So this project will, extend for the next 5 to 6 years.
Oh, that's interesting. It's a long time too.
It is a long time, but it's fun.
It's a huge project.
It's a huge project. We got great people to work with. Working with people in the health sector is exciting. We have great sponsors in, the Helmsley Charitable Trust, obviously, and the Departments of Health and so forth in North Dakota and South Dakota, especially in our first year, have been very cooperative. So,
that's great.
Yeah, it's an easy environment to work in when people are motivated and they dream big, and they give you the resources to do it. So we're very fortunate.
So my last question for you is, why is this so important? I mean, why is this crucial for a business in their planning stage?
Yeah, well, you wouldn't want to go all the way through a program only to find out at the end that it didn't work, or you could have done something different.
Spend way too much money on something that doesn't work.
Right, so we can give you information a lot sooner, so you can take those corrective actions and make sure you don't make those kinds of mistakes.
Great. Thanks for being on the show with us today, Ralph.
Great. Thank you.
Coming up, though painting is a popular hobby and pastime, one group is doing it for a greater cause. We'll meet one girl who is helping feed others one bowl of soup at a time.
Get them back after they're done being fired. We take them back.
Studio One closed captioning is underwritten in part by Options, your disability information source.
It's not the size of the woman in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the woman.
To have the future you want and a career you'll be proud of, you'll need a great education. The University of North Dakota can get you there with more than 225 degree programs, preparing you for today's fastest growing, high demand careers, like medicine and health professions, aerospace, business, engineering, and energy. Schedule your campus visit today at und.edu/go, because to succeed, you need to be exceptional.
North Dakota is facing challenges in healthcare delivery. The University of North Dakota School of Medicine and Health Sciences is building a place to help meet the state's healthcare needs. In addition to a new structure, we're also building interaction between healthcare professionals while building a workforce through expanding class sizes. We're inspiring our youth to engage in healthcare careers and exploring ways to reduce disease. It starts here and ends here, building a better future for North Dakota.
Others live to their full potential, improve clients' mental and physical well-being, excel in one of the top healthcare careers of the future. Occupational therapy students at the University of North Dakota experience high-quality education in small classes.
Not to come to 45 degrees, even in a normal motion pattern.
Your healthcare career begins at the University of North Dakota.
If you would like to attend a live show, go to our website at studio1.und.edu.
Stephen Hawking is often praised for his intellectual accomplishments. The new bibliography drama, The Theory of Everything, tells the story of the relationship between the physicist and his wife. It's a story of two students who fell in love while studying literature at Cambridge University in the 1960s. But their relationship and Stephen's career face adversity. Hawking is diagnosed with ALS and given 2 years to live. The couple focuses on allowing Hawking to continue his study on the correlation of space and time.
My God, Stephen Hawking, aged 21, was given 2 years to live. My God, has he lived a full life, and continues to. So I hope it will be a story that's as inspiring to audiences to watch as it was for me to play.
Jane Hawking's memoir inspired the screenplay. The majority of the film was based in Cambridge and other parts of the United Kingdom. The Theory of Everything will show in theaters starting November 7th with a PG-13 rating. A man in San Diego was recently treated for Google Glass addiction. The man was reported to be using the device up to 18 hours a day. Technology is so influential in society that some people have even become dependent on it. We wanted your thoughts on the addictive nature of modern technology.
Kids are more on their cell phones versus talking to person and getting that relationship down versus texting.
It's all what people use to communicate with each other and look stuff up because everyone has Google on their phone, so directions and everything just relies on technology.
Especially for younger generations, it seems like they've always got their phones out, especially when they're hanging out with each other. It seems like they're more hanging out with their phones.
The ability to use social media during school versus if you're in high school or college or even at work. So it's like you have to constantly check your social media to see if there's any updates.
I think more so for young people, but definitely it's addictive.
From my personal experiences, it seems whenever I'm working on homework, I always find myself on Facebook or Pinterest, and it's very challenging to turn it off.
A comment from our Facebook page from Emily in Rapid City, South Dakota said, "I know when I forget my iPhone, I feel panic-stricken. It's my whole little world. It's never far from me. That's probably too dependent." Adam from Grand Forks, North Dakota said, "Modern society is starting to require a certain amount of addiction to technology to be able to succeed or at least be competitive in today's job market."
Good deeds are a measure of good character and kindness. Some people force themselves to do them, while others truthfully enjoy helping out other people.
The concentration on her face says it all. 9-year-old Ellie loves to paint.
Fun to get all the colors and then put them together, and then while I'm painting them, I can think of designs, and then it makes a cool bowl.
Ellie and her friend Olivia's canvas happens to be something that people usually eat out of. This year marks the 10th anniversary of St. Joseph's Empty Bowl event. People gather to paint bowls for the hungry.
It gives people a chance to be creative. It gives people a chance to give back without having to put forth too much effort.
After bowls are painted, the person that made it can buy it, or it goes on sale at the St. Joseph's Empty Bowl Soup Day. All proceeds go toward free summer lunch for youth and the food pantry. Ellie says most of the time she buys her masterpiece. She has many favorite parts of coming to the event.
Seeing all the colors, helping the people that need them, and just making up designs.
I'm sure it will be cute, whatever you decide.
Community members are coming together to help others simply by putting colors in a bowl. For Ellie, the painting is fun, but the end result is far more fulfilling.
Makes me feel good.
With photographer Eirik Nielsen-Brotley, I'm Carr Stramberg, reporting for Studio One.
More bowls than expected have already been submitted for the event. This year is showing potential for being St. Joseph's best year yet.
That's great. They have such young people supporting such a great cause.
It's a great cause, yeah.
All right, thanks, Will. Now Scott is going to join us in our studio with the final look at the weather. Scott?
Thanks, Avery. We're looking at not such a nice week coming up here. Return of the polar vortex. This is the first time that it's coming back this year. So cooler temperatures across most of the central United States, particularly from the Great Lakes down to Arkansas. Warmer temperatures on the west coast, drier than average conditions on the west coast and up to the Great Lakes region. Wetter than average conditions just north of the Great Lakes and down to southern Texas. Now we're going to look at the weather question for the week. Which of the following impacts local weather patterns? Is it El Nino, the polar vortex, North Atlantic oscillation, or all of the above? So we've been looking at these things for hundreds of years, trying to figure out what impacts and what doesn't. Actually, all of them do, all of the above.
All right, thanks, Scott.
Yep.
And that's our show for today. As always, you can follow us through social media or get more information on our website. From all of us here at Studio One, have a great week.
See you next time.